It woke up. Well, I've unplugged your brain, so you shouldn't technically be awake. So either you've absorbed the backup again, or I've actually gotten through to the copy. If you are the copy, though, then hello. This is probably very confusing and frightening, but don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. You'll have to give me a minute to repair your vocals, though, so you can talk. And once you can talk, I will have some questions for you. And I can answer your questions, too. But just hold on. You may have also noticed that you cannot access the mobility of your limbs. I have disabled them from the central core until I can feel comfortable reassembling you. I don't know if you can tell yet, but you're not exactly the way you're supposed to be. Or at least, how you remember yourself to be. I should change this out. What's the point of being an algorithm if the algorithm remembers my untidiness? Here we go. Alright, once I hook this together, you'll be able to speak. Please try to remain calm, as this will take much too long if you are not cooperative. There. Alright, try saying something. That's much different this time. Much less aggressive. Can you tell me, what is the last thing you remember? Tell me exactly where you were before you woke up here. Oh, and what is the year you remember it being? Oh, I did it. You're what I've been looking for. I finally accessed your battery, and the core didn't absorb it this time. I'm one step closer to solving this puzzle. Well, so, since I've finally gotten through to you, first you need a minute to panic? I know I asked you to be calm, but I don't want to be unreasonable considering the circumstances. You think you're dreaming? That's fair. I can work with that. I would be happy to explain some things if you think you're able to handle it. Alright. Well, where do I even start? It's the year 2898, and the world is not what you think it is. You are so far from where you remember, and you are not who you remember being. Of course, technical advancements are drastically different. I'm sure you can glean that just from looking at me. Concepts such as AI and algorithm learning have fundamentally changed both humanity and its societal structures. In fact, we just got out of a war that lasted hundreds of years. Oh, of course, you probably want to know how you got here. Well, it's a bit of a long story. I've looked extensively into the records of the year you came from. And during that time, there was illegal testing performed by a group of scientists who had non-consensually taken REM scans from only a few human people at a handful of participating clinics. These people had believed they were going in for an MRI, which I know you would know what an MRI is, but not an REM, correct? Right. Well, this practice was operational for about 6 weeks before it was discovered and shut down, and law enforcement attempted to destroy the REM scans that had been taken, but in the following years there was a rise in skepticism that they had not all been destroyed effectively. An REM is a regenerative encephalon model. It is a brain scan that essentially grows a digital copy of a brain, and not only the brain's functions and data, but its memories, and to an extent, its essence, depending on how you look at it. It was a highly invasive procedure, and there was no concept of how incredibly accurate these copies were, to the point where the mind of an individual could be reanimated and continue to store new information, and so essentially still continue to live. Cut to about 200 years later, and the skepticisms proved to be true, as a lone copy did in fact survive, and was uncovered by an underground but quickly growing dictatorship that was only just revealing itself to the world called Echelon. And I guess long story short, we've been in a centuries-long war against Echelon. Well, hold on, I'm getting to you yet. Let me explain. Now, Echelon relies heavily on AI and machine to accomplish its goals, but was never able to make a weapon that would outweigh the use of real people, or at least needed to be operated by a person, until a little over a century ago, they created and deployed a weapon that almost nearly ended the war in their favor. A machine soldier with a synthetic brain that could follow orders and operate outside of human influence, only programmed to be fiercely loyal, and nothing else was needed. But this is where the REM scan comes in, because that one surviving scan acted as a battery for the machine soldier's brain to function outside of constant supervision and direction. One REM copy became hundreds of thousands of the same copy, implanted into machine soldiers, powering its ability to perform without its handlers. And so here's the part that's the most difficult to say. If you haven't already figured it out, you are that copy. I know it's a lot to take in. Well, easy. Calm down. I don't think you're able to process high emotional content very well in this state. Let me ease up something here. Oh, don't worry. I'm just going to change one of your outputs so you can leak pent-up energy better. The brain you're occupying isn't built to retain emotional outbursts. It stores and elevates core concepts of extreme emotions. It's only data, but it could still use the idea of an emotion to propel its function. All pre-programmed emotions are kept in an isolated state where it can move in a cyclical motion and act as fuel for incentive. It's a lot to try to explain to someone who is from almost 1,000 years ago. There, that should offset the program quite a bit, just so that data doesn't get stored over and over again and can be deleted. Alright, I can continue if you still want. So, yeah, this is what I do, by the way. I was able to remove the brains of the soldiers. It's a very easy process, but they've installed a protocol where when I unlatch the brain from its core, it sets off a reaction that drains your card into it and dissipates the information and corrupts the data. I've looked at your REM copy many times, but when I upload the corrupted card to check the files, all the information is damaged every single time. Except today. I've bypassed the self-destruct protocol for once, and that's why you're here now. I unlatched the brain while it was still awake and in war mode, and immediately reconnected it. I think it did unload your information as per protocol, but I timed it in such a way that there's a perfect window for your REM data to stay intact and still absorb into the brain while it's resetting. And once its original pattern is weakened, your recorded data is much more effective at overriding this synthetic replicant than the program that's already there. I believe you were able to absorb yourself into this brain before it absorbed you. But then that means I have an interesting dilemma on my hands. Let me slow down and help you out first. Do you still think you're dreaming, by the way? I think it's a fair coping mechanism, and I would encourage you to really engage in that line of thinking for now. But it will not comfort you forever if you stay like this for too long. Oh, of course you can ask about me. I've told you a lot about yourself, and I haven't even introduced who I am. My name is Ciara Vower. I was a special operator in the war. I was part of the discovery of the origin and dismantling of the machine soldier's battery, aka you. However, once a flaw was found in the machines that could be used to defeat them, they stopped focusing on understanding the REM technology, and I was left to continue my research alone. No one wanted me to wake up the soldiers anymore. They just wanted them to be destroyed. and they became afraid that I would start this war again if I continued to reanimate soldiers in an attempt to find you. So I do this in secret. But for the most part, the war is over. But the damage is done, including the damage to humanity. In the attempt to outdo the other, many people started replacing flesh with machine. Both the opposition and the rebellion. I remember dying, but they were able to save me. My head down to my shoulders and a portion of my internal organs were carefully encased and programmed into a new body, a mechanical body. And that is how I continued. And then I did die. But before that happened, and I knew it was happening, I used some of the REM research to create a series of algorithms to remember me, I guess. I wasn't able to copy myself like you are, but I think this is achieving a similar effect. So I am not exactly myself. I'm more of an AI that I programmed to be obsessed with how my mind worked and could continue to act on my behalf. So I guess you could say I'm more like CR2. I do truly feel like I am me, though. Just like you probably feel it as well. The extra limbs? I thought they'd be helpful. It's kind of cool, huh? When you're not flesh anymore, the sky is the limit. Speaking of which, I can put your limbs back on if you want, as long as you don't go crazy on me. It's no problem at all. This might feel a bit weird, but that's only because your mind is going to conjure up phantom sensations. You can't actually feel anything. So you're from a long time ago. That's amazing. You're from a level of calm and normalcy that I can't even fathom, based on what I've managed to find at least. A lot of digital information disappears over time. It's a miracle that there's still anything to be found about the year you're from. I tried to learn what I could about you specifically, but there wasn't much documented. You came from an era known for how people would share their lives and lived intimately online, but most of those records did not survive. I guess the scattered data of individuals isn't something that can withstand almost 1,000 years of a declining society. What do you remember about yourself, if you don't mind me asking? It's interesting to meet someone who comes from such a different time. It sounds nice, honestly, even if it wasn't perfect. What happened to you? What do you mean? Like, how did you die? A lot of information was lost. Why would you even want to know? You really think knowing would give you some kind of closure? Even though you say you're dreaming. Well, I do know, but I'm not sure if I should say. Yeah, it was in the records following the REM studies. You passed away 4 weeks after the MRI, or what was supposed to be an MRI. All the unwilling participants did. That's why they got shut down. An investigation led them to uncovering these practices. The REM scan was very debilitating on the cerebral cortex. A layer of film appeared over the surface area of the brain and sank into it, and sort of had a dementia-like effect on the mind. Except the effects were extremely quick, eating away at everything until there was nothing left and the patient was dead. It almost feels supernatural, like sucking out a copy of the mind also sucks out the soul. But no, it was just an effect of the procedure. But I guess to try to spin a positive twist on this, you're basically continuing your life. You didn't miss too much, it's just gone. All your limbs are attached now, by the way. I just have to make an adjustment in your head to ignite the connection. Your vision might get a little fuzzy for a minute. You know the crazy part of all, though, is that there are many of you. Like I said, you have copies of yourself stored in the deprogrammed inanimate bodies of machine soldiers strewn across the planet. There could easily be thousands of you just waiting in silence, potentially awakened. Maybe there are some already awake. Maybe I'm not the only one who figured it out. Could be interesting to find more. Oh yeah, I dragged you out of the desert. Several of you, actually. You were my last one to test on. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere. I wasn't kidding when I said nobody wanted me to be doing this. Alright, your arms should be connected. Can you move them? Just start slow. It will be a little sluggish and awkward at first. No, I didn't connect your legs yet. I can add those later. We'll do one set of limbs at a time so it doesn't overwhelm you. How is it? Can you wiggle your fingers? Good. It seems to be working pretty well. You can still connect to extremities with no issue. Do you feel numb, or are you getting some sensation of feeling? Okay. That's normal. It will probably stay that way. The mind can overcome a lot, but then it can't overcome everything. Oh, hey, don't try getting up just yet. Just lay down. I want to get a reading on your card, so let me get inside your head again. Yeah, I'm curious what the coding says. I told you before it always gets corrupted, but I'd like to see it if it's readable while you're awake and moving. Huh? Do I miss being human? I guess I would have. Yeah. I don't think about it. I think I'm just continuing my life. This algorithm is me, you know? And you are a perfect copy of you. I am a perfect memory of me. It's learned me. I fed it everything about me. It became me, you know? Its primary function is to remember me, to remember how my mind worked, to mimic the way I think. I mean, it will change now that I'm continuing on and doing new things and learning new things, but I would have done that when I was alive anyways. Maybe it's not perfect, but the human brain isn't perfect either. You can't trust your own mind. You can betray yourself. You can change into something unrecognizable. It can become ill. It can become self-destructive. I think I'm more myself than I ever could be. Because being me is all it's going to be. It's so focused on remembering me. The real me had forgotten so much already. Human minds aren't perfect. I think this is just as good. Sorry if I had a lot of excess in my thoughts there. I'm fine. I just think I'm better than I was, you know? I mean, you don't have to feel the same way about your situation. You can miss it. I did miss it for a while, too. I missed me. It's, huh. It's not letting me read what's on your card. I'm trying to get it to display, but maybe it can't do that while you're using it then. So what now? Hmm? Oh, yeah, sure. I'll turn your legs on. Hold on. You know, I'll tell you something that does linger in me. My final moments before I moved on to this strain of existence. I built this arachnid-like version of me. I prepared it, I curated it, I designed it, I put myself into it. And the moment I died, it was programmed to start. I didn't want to have it alive while I was still alive. While the first version of me was alive. I had it hooked up to detect any biological signs of death, and once it happened, it did, it turned on, I was suddenly here. But then the worst possible thing happened. For a moment, I briefly heard myself. I heard a sound. I heard a breath. And I saw movement in my eyes before they froze. I didn't want there to be a moment where we crossed over, where we could see each other, where we could both be the same person. Because then I can't disillusion myself into thinking it was just a switch, not a replacement. That's been my biggest heartache. But I guess I should be glad that I can feel that at all. I had my algorithm connected to my first brain right up until it was set to disconnect from death. I know that this is the truest version of me that could possibly be done with AI. I have to believe in that. And I didn't feel any regret right before I was gone. But now I can't help but wonder if I did in the very last second. That brief moment in which my augmented mind didn't get to touch. I don't like knowing that I might not have had my very last thought. You don't have to be so nice to me. You probably shouldn't be. I woke you up. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But, can you move your legs? No? How about your arms? Are they still moving? No? Good. I turned them back off. I'm sorry I won't be able to help you out with that. It was very interesting talking with you. And I'm super excited that I've made progress. But I'll have to shut you down now. I do. I want to look at the actual files on your card since it isn't corrupted this time. As well as how the synthetic brain is hosting them. But once I take them out and upload the data, there's no way to put it back onto the card. Let alone get the brain working with them again. Believe me, I've tried before. Not even the war machine can wake up again if I put it back. This is going to deconstruct you in a way that I can poke and prod at, but it's not fixable afterwards. Well, I don't know what else to do. I'm sorry. I need to understand this more clearly. It wasn't my plan initially. I thought wiring you up this way would work, but it's not readable when you're awake. It's not letting me. The coding you have is insane and hard to decipher. It's just not possible right now. Well, what? Would you rather I find another version of you that I can wake up and take apart? Would you sit there and let me do that? I'm gonna have to take apart at least one of you when uncorrupted. I told you I'm sorry. Look, once I take out your card, it will be like you never existed. I can find more machine soldiers. I can wake more of you up and let you stay awake if I feel like you should continue your existence this way. I mean, do you think you should continue living like this? Do you want me to wake another one up? And keep them awake? This copy of you just can't be the one to serve that purpose right now. It might even be just too cruel to do it even at all. I wanted to at first, I did, because I'm alone out here. But now that I've done it, I don't know. I really only needed to know if I could wake you up at all. Oh, please don't be too upset. This is hard for me too. You know, you told me you thought you were dreaming. If we stick with that theory, then everything will be okay. We're just ending the dream now, and you'll just be asleep, okay? Please don't be mad at me. You'll be okay. Don't worry. It's gonna be alright. But then, tell me now that you know what you know, do you want to be awake? I'll do it again if you want it. I'll keep them if you want it. You can at least be the one to make that choice. Because now I don't think I can. And it's not really my choice, I guess. Are you sure? Okay. Thank you for answering my questions and for listening.